photo from an X-T1 versus photo from an X-T100. Now that I've dispelled the myth that Bayer sensors are inherently inferior to X-Trans for the final image, we can talk about why one of these cameras is legendary and the other is kind of just a toy. Now let's give credit where it's due. The X-T100 does have advantages. It has the flip-out selfie screen. If you're a vlogger or you just really need to see your own face to make sure you're in focus, the X-T100 wins, hands down. From a pure function standpoint, it's a better content creation device than the X-T1. And I could actually see this being a pretty darn good early YouTube style camera. The video quality isn't necessarily bad. It also technically shoots 4K, but it's at 15 frames per second. That isn't video. That's a glorified burst mode. And honestly, it comes across more as a marketing point than an actual feature for this camera. Unless you're doing high-res time lapses, this is a 1080p camera. But the 24 megapixel Bayer sensor is good. It handles greens better than some X-Trans sensors, and every software on Earth can read these RAW files perfectly. That's not something that can necessarily be said for X-Trans sensors. The X-T100 is slightly smaller than the X-T1, and it's also a little bit lighter. X-T100 also has more durable rubber grips that are less likely to smooth out and become sticky. In a vacuum, it's the perfect travel companion, but cameras don't exist in vacuums. They exist in your hands. This is where the X-T100 starts to fall apart. Pick up the X-T100 and you feel like you're holding a high-quality toy. Pick up the X-T1 and it feels like a professional instrument. We're comparing magnesium alloy to plastic here. One of these feels like it could literally survive a drop on the sidewalk while you're out shooting, while the other feels like it could crack if you squeeze it too hard. My X-T100 literally creaks in my hands when I squeeze right here, and I'm someone that will get annoyed at the tiniest rattles in my car, so having this creaky camera body just doesn't really inspire confidence or make me feel good when I'm out shooting. I don't want to be too harsh on this camera. It's got a little bit of metal, and it's not the worst feeling thing, but next to this X-T1, it's kind of pathetic. The X-T100's design is a little too minimalist overall. It misses out on some crucial buttons that make life much easier when using the X-T1. Back in 2014, the X-T1 was a flagship camera. It has weather sealing. It has weight to it. It has gravity. It gives me the feeling that it's not going to fail me, which brings me to the reality of using these cameras. The X-T100 has blank dials. You have to look at the screen to know what you're doing with the exposure settings. On the flip side, the X-T1 has dedicated labeled dials for shutter speed and ISO. This isn't just about vintage vibes, it's an actually useful feature when you're out shooting. With the X-T1, I can check my settings while the camera is hanging at my hip. I don't need to dive into a menu or wait for a screen to wake up just to check my shutter speed or my ISO. And speaking of the screens, the EVF magnification on the X-T1 is 0.77x, while the X-T100 is just 0.62x. And let me tell you, that is a massive difference when you're trying to nail focus manually. It's like looking at a laptop versus looking at a smartphone screen. X-T1 also has an actual grip for your fingers on the back, making it much more ergonomic straight out of the box. And I haven't even mentioned my favorite part, the focus mode dial. The X-T100 lacks this. The X-T1 rocks this. It is an absolute game changer when the outdated autofocus systems start hunting and just being stupid. The X-T100 makes you dive into the menus while the fleeting moment fleets. Is that a word? And actually, when I was out taking the comparison shots you see in this review, I really appreciated the X-T1's labeled dials as an easy way to match up settings to the X-T1. I also really appreciated the fact that I didn't need to do a menu deep dive just to fine-tune my focus manually. And here's the kicker. On the used market right now, you can find an X-T1 for the same price or less than an X-T100. You are paying less money for a better built, more reliable, flagship experience. If the X-T100 was priced as an entry-level version of the X-T1, it would be perfect. It's just not priced like that though. This X-T100 has frozen on me. It has required battery pulls. It feels like a computer trying to be a camera. The X-T1 is just a camera. It feels like a specialized sports car. It's not as practical as a sedan for carrying your groceries or taking selfies, but it just makes you want to go out and drive. In fact, I was out on vacation a couple months back with this X-T100 and literally all the buttons stopped responding. All of them. Even the power switch. This was absolutely absurd to me, as I've never really had a failure of that level with my X-T1. In fact, the worst X-T1 failure I've encountered was when it was switching itself into different shooting modes without me touching anything. This ended up being an easy fix, just having to clean with a piece of floss under this little dial right here. If you need a selfie screen, buy the X-T100. If you already own one and it works for you, keep it. But if you want to fall in love with photography and own one of the greatest cameras of all time, buy the X-T1. I promise you won't regret it.